Hello everyone, we are live, but I'm still waiting for my special guest, Chad Lutzke. I really hope he comes on. He's one of my favorite authors that I've discovered in the last couple of years. But I just want to hear from all of you that are watching. How many of you have read Chad Lutzke? What have you read by him? And yeah, hopefully he can get on soon. So yeah, let me know in the comments who's here. And hello everyone. It's been a long time since I've done these lives. So yeah, I'm just going to wait patiently for a little bit and hope that he comes on soon, because it'd be fun to have a chat with him. It's fast approaching one of my favorite horror authors of all time. Okay, so we've got Spooky Little Book Nerd. There we go. How you doing? And actually, while I'm here, if you want to ask me questions, and my wife. There you go. And anyone else that's around. Yeah, Blue-Eyed Matt, how you doing? Wait, where is it? Yeah, there it is. And you guys can tell me what you think my lighting is like. I don't know, we got a brand new light, video, kind of photography light. It's supposed to be kind of professional. But I don't know if I look too red-faced, which might be appropriate because it's midsummer here. I would just let me know what the lighting is like as well. Yeah, and then we've got Cage, just objects, yeah. And we got hiding in the margins, yeah. Hello. And JL Carell. Yeah, I need to chat with you soon because I still need to read your sequel to your book. Been a bad boy, I need to get to that soon. But yeah, it's been a bit tough. Yeah. And any of you read Chad Lutzke? Because yeah, if he comes on, I'm hoping it's going to be like spoiler free, just to try and give you an idea of the author. Amethyst says, hi all. Okay, and then we've got, well, jumping here. Happy Saturday. Blue-Eyed Matt. Yeah, I have a question. Has anyone asked to stand on you and gaze into the distance? Okay, I'm not quite sure where you're going with that, Matt. Stand on me and gaze into, well, how tall do you really think I am? I'm not too sure what you're asking there. But my question was, have any of you read Chad Lutzke? Okay, we've got another one. Oh, no. Okay, yeah, guys, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to give it another 5-10 minutes. I suppose these things happen. Sometimes life gets in the way. He's got a family. He's very, very busy. But, okay, something's happened to my screen there. I have no idea what. Whoa. I think I need my IT person here because I'm in trouble. I don't know what's happened here. Whoa. What is going on? What's going on here? What's happening here? Oh, it's this in here. Okay. Right. Let's just press that. Yeah. Okay, I'm back to normal. So, hiding in the magpies. Like, well, but yeah. Let's just go through everything. Hiding in the margins. It's slow to react. Something wrong with the computer. Hello, Cliff. And then we got, yeah, I've got all of these already. Hiding in the margins says, I've only read The Same Deep Water as You. I actually have not read The Same Deep Water. My favorite, I read about 10 of these books, and my favorite is Skullface Boy, which I really, really enjoy. And I'm hoping that I can chat about that book a little bit tonight. I just hope he's okay. Let's see here. stand on it. Oh, okay, yeah. That's very punny, Matt. That's very, very funny. And then we've got, is it Clifford? That is also my son's name. No, it's not Clifford, it's just Cliff. And we've got, my only concept of a South African accent is Elon. Yeah, so I can't tell where you're born in South Africa. Yeah, I'm born in South Africa. I'm not going to go to Elon Musk. I'm not going to go into politics on this channel. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm a little bit scared for the world, to be honest. Yeah, some of the stuff that's happening. Yeah, I don't know really what to say about that. So, other questions? Guys, I don't know how much longer I'm going to give it. I don't think I'm going to leave completely. Probably just going to go out and then wait a little bit. Yeah, I'm not sure how to go about this. Okay. And this has happened to me before. Yeah, I did get some prior knowledge and it wasn't going to happen. But yeah. Are there any other questions for me? Questions? As a booktuber. As Cliff Dark James. Okay, here we go. What is the darkest book you read last year? Okay. Dark as in kind of made you question your humanity, bleak kind of, or dark as in kind of extreme horror dark that, yeah, I suppose made me question my humanity, people, and everything. I'm going to go with that because I read a book called, what was it, that extreme horror novel by Judith Sonnet, and that was No One Writes for Free. Oh man, that book was sick, it was dark, it was twisted, and it made me feel sick inside, it made me feel really bad inside. So it was pretty dark. Okay. Okay, where would you suggest I start with Chad Lutzke books? Well, my favorite is definitely Skullface Boy, but it's not so much a horror. It's a coming of age story that had me crying, and it has dark parts in it. It has horror elements, but it's so much more than a horror. And a lot of his work is more kind of emotional, kind of horror with heart. And so yeah, Chad Skullface Boy is amazing. He also writes some very good grief horror. There's one story called Stirring the Sheets, and it's about a man who's lost his wife about 10 years ago, and he can't get over the fact that she's gone. And he is a worker at the morgue. In fact, he kind of doesn't own the morgue, but he runs the morgue. He makes the bodies look, you know, beautiful for the people. And he finds the body of a woman who reminds him of his dead wife, burnt in a fire 10 years ago, and looks just like her as a bride. So he decides to take her home. But it's not what you think. It's just grief, horror that pulls at your heels. It's like really powerful. And then he writes some splatter punk stuff as well, splatter western. And yeah, just a fabulous sort of thing. Okay, let's just see here. I haven't read Chad. I'm interested after what you do. Yeah, let's give him a go. Yeah, let's get on it soon, this year. And my wife wants to fill in spaces here. What's your second favorite book by Chad? That's a tough one. Because I like so many. I love Skullface Boy. I want to take notes in that whole book. And then a second one is either a splatter western called, I've actually written it down here, called How the Skin Sheds, which reminds me a bit of Joe or Lansdale. It takes place in this kind of wild west landscape, and this this brother goes to visit his sister, I think it is, and she's brutally murdered. The nipples are missing, the pieces cut off. So it's brutal. And she has he has an albino niece who's basically traumatized on bed. I don't even have to say anything more. And they go off in search of the killer. And they take this freed slave, who's his best friend, and the three of them go in search of this killer. And it's so unlike what I've read by him, but I really enjoyed it. It was really lots of fun. But also, Stirring the Sheets, 5 stars. And then there's so many of them are so good. Perhaps the most distressing one that I've read by him is called The Pale White. And it's about 3 girls who basically are working in a sex operation. They were kind of trapped as young children, and they escaped. Well, it's this thing. And it's coming of age as well, but it is heartbreaking, and the subject matter of sex slaves. I think it was the most difficult book I've read. It's called, The Pale White. So he writes a lot of different kinds of things. Just an awesome author. So yeah. And I'll continue to read his books and love his books. Right, let's see what you've got here. And everyone on the chat wishing you, Cliff, a wonderful live stream. Thanks, Bad. Okay. The favorite movie adaptation of a book. My favorite movie adaptation of a short story. Let's go there. Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption. Shawshank Redemption is my favorite book adaptation. One of my favorite movies of all time. Just so powerful. Okay, then we got here. Well, oh, sorry, that was, yeah. Okay, let's go. Hope you're doing well. How's John? Waiting for my guest patiently. I'll definitely be checking. Yeah, he's very good. He's very talented. I hope we can chat to him soon. How's Michael? Hello, Leslie. Good to see you. Oh, and I want someone to please comment on my lighting, because I don't know if the lighting's better. My face looks very red from where I'm sitting. And it is midsummer here, so I'm kind of sweaty. But is the lighting better than what it was? Because remember, I used to look like a bit like a ghoul, like a ghost, right? I used to look kind of, yeah. Okay. Another one. Wondering if anyone in the chat has seen Chad. Yeah, that is a brilliant show. And yeah, people got to bear in mind that people are busy. And Chad has got a family, a wife, a child, I think. And he's a painter, and he's got deadlines for all sorts of stuff. So maybe something came up. So, yeah. But, yeah, I'm waiting. Maybe he'll join us. That'll be exciting for me. It'll be a little bit like talking to kind of a Stephen King, kind of a Clive Barker, because I love this guy. So, yeah. Okay, here's a solution. You land on Mars, what's the first thing you do? Well, if I land on Mars and I don't have anything on me to protect me, to help me breathe, I'm going to die. So I'm presuming you're saying like I'm the last Martian, like that video or like that book. I don't know, look for water, sit down in the ground and just cry. I have no idea. Okay, hey Michael. Have you read Brian Keane? Yes, I've read what's that zombie book he did? But it's very, very original. It's part of a trilogy, and these zombies are intelligent. It's completely original. These zombies are like it's not just people, it's animals, birds, anything the size of a squirrel. And I can't give too much away, but it's very, very good. And I want to read Ghoul. He wrote a book called Ghoul. I want to read. But I want to read the sequel this year to the zombie one. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, really good, yeah. The Rising. Yeah, that's it. Very, very good book. Okay. Okay, guys, I'm going to wait patiently. I'm thinking he's going to come on. So that's a kind of a tension, right? Building of suspense for Chad Lutzke. Come on, Chad. You can do it. You can do it. Okay, what else have we got here? Yeah, no, The Rising is brilliant. I haven't read it. And I know people get sick of the same old zombies, shuffling corpses, Night of the Living Dead kind of things. These zombies are fast. And they can actually evolve to the point where they can drive cars. The heads, okay, I'm giving too much away. But they're intelligent, they can think, shoot guns. And like I said, watch out for the birds, watch out for the little animals, watch out for everything. Okay, thank you for that. Hang on. Versus, I think the lighting does look better. It's not crazy red from my view. Thank you. Okay, I haven't read Google yet. I watched a TV movie they made. If they haven't read The Dark Hollow, you really should. It's super dark. Is that from that author we were just talking about? What's it called? Hang on, who's the author? The author of Brian Keene. Yeah, Brian Keene. Is that Brian Keene you're talking about? Okay, I'm so excited. What's that? It's 2 p.m. What time is it in? Oh, yeah, people. Well, I'm going to be talking for a long time tonight. Because guess what? We're going to have an hour together. Because I should have made the video for 9 o'clock, not 8 o'clock. Because Chad said 2 p.m. It's 9 o'clock. So you have the pleasure of my company for an hour. And then you have another hour more with Chad. So I sincerely apologize to Chad. Well, I said, and I sincerely apologize to all of you. But I'm going to stay here. So whoever wants to just join in the fun, it's now 8:25. So you might just pitch up anytime. Never know. So got another half an hour together. Just ask me questions, warm me up, so that I'm feeling a little bit better about it now. Okay, so that was my bad. Right. Okay, next up we got lighting looks better when you lean back. Oh, they're like this. I don't know, it's because when I lean into the light, I kind of look like a bull zombie. Like that, right? Yeah. So I'm just leaning back. Okay. Yes. The year of jail, Corral. Really more jail. It's pretty bright lighting. Have you the space to drag the sheet or the light to dim it a little bit? I think you're beautiful. It's just a suggestion. Thanks, Matt. I'm sure you're gorgeous too. Oh, I'm waiting for your channel, by the way, because you promised that you would start your channel. It's a brand new light. And it's one of those lights, it's kind of fancy. It's from my brother-in-law, my gift. And it's got like all these settings at the back, like a red, green, blue, white. They can turn up and down. And it's got those ones with the flaps on the side and the top, the bottom. And it's supposed to be a kind of professional video thing. So we're still learning. I'm sure we can work out the perfect thing. So just give it a bit of time. Yeah. Okay. Are you? There's the drape thing over it. The green light. Explain that. Won't I look like the Hulk? How does it work? explain how it works to me, John. It took me like 8 months to figure out my life. Yeah, it takes a long, it's not easy. But actually what I should do in my next video, I should put what I was using and what I am using next to each other so that you can just kind of compare. Yeah. And people, I'm very, very sorry. I need to rush very quickly to the toilet. Like, I'll literally be 40 seconds, a minute, if you don't mind, please. Just talk amongst yourselves, you know, just gotta keep the conversation going. I'll be back now. Don't go anywhere. And I'm back. And kind of the toilet's like kind of next door to this room. So my wife was good enough to close the door and close this door just in case there was like a little bit of a kind of a tinkling sound. So I found that hilarious. Okay, let's see where we are. Checking out the book collection. Which book collection? Okay. Waiting for the dog to get up and walk in front of the camera. Layla, Layla girl. You know, if she was a little bit smaller, I'd hold her in the lap with me the whole time. But you've seen her, I can't do that. And she's very comfy on her bed right there. And all of you can just be grateful that the frogs are not mating tonight. Maybe yet. Maybe when Chad enters the picture, you're going to start hearing that sound that you hear in my videos. Welcome to Africa sound. Okay, and we got, you said your light could do green, would be extra spooky. Okay, are you going to play with it now? Okay, we're going to play with it a little bit. Let's see what happens, right? It's still looking pretty white. Actually, that might not be bad. Stop there. Tell me if that's better than what was. Please tell me. Okay. That would be cute. I love a Layla appearance. Oh, there. I'm freezing, people. Okay. Oh, that would be so cute. What, you mean if I could have her on my lap? People, I've got expensive equipment here. She's a German Shepherd, but she's a big dog. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's better. Thank you. Not so bright. Oh, that would be so cute. Okay. That's better, I think. Not as bright. Yeah, cool. Wouldn't it be funny if Chad came on like 10 minutes early, 15 minutes early, waiting to have a chat with me, kind of relax a bit, you know? And then I'll say, I'm sorry, I was early. Didn't realize. Yeah, I'll just like throw him into the fire. Yes, Chad. Yeah. Okay. That's pretty good. The brightness isn't as harsh. Okay, no, that's good. If any of you guys know any way to make it a little bit better, if you have experience with high light level equipment that I was given as a gift, just let me know. Because, yeah, I want to make it nice. There we go. I'm writing an outline for what I want to say on my first video. Debating on explaining what happened to me while I'm in a wheelchair. Okay, I didn't know that, I'm sorry. or showing stuff I do regularly for those who think that, yeah, just be yourself. You know what you should actually do, Matt? I think you should do the BookTube movie tag. Because what that does is everyone watches that. And people regularly check that. It's an algorithm thing. And I regularly check the movie tags to support new booktubers that are just coming on. So that's a good idea. And maybe follow it up with that. But yeah, the first thing you should do is do a bookish thing, and the BookTube movie tag might be a really good idea, I think. That's just my humble opinion. And then you can explain other things later, but it just draws attention to your channel from the beginning. And there's questions there, and if you want, you can bring other stuff in as well. But it's a good way to introduce yourself to the community, right? Okay. Okay. Because their lives drastically change, doesn't mean you have to stop. Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, I don't really know what to say about that because I haven't been in that position. But it would be good for you to address that. But I do think that your first video, maybe you could integrate it into the newbie tag as part of your journey. But it's good to do a BookTube newbie tag anyway, even if it's your second video, because it just puts you out there in BookTube. And a lot of people watch those. So that's a good thing. Okay. Yeah, I'll be looking for your first video, man, as will I. Okay, people, I'm just going to have a little beverage break here. We're counting down to 9 o'clock now. I don't actually know. Baby, what time is it? Cannot believe that I made such a rookie mistake, people. But like, yeah. And it is stupid because I thought 2 o'clock, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time to South African time must be 7 hours. So 2 to 8 is 6 hours. That was me. That was me. It's my fault. But this is a good warm-up. Imagine when he comes on, realizes we've been going for an hour, and I'll say it's my fault. Okay. There's a tag in the newbie tag that asks what unique things you will bring to your channel. Yeah. That would be an excellent part to talk about what you mentioned. Yeah. Excellent answer, John. There's so much in that newbie tag that talks about your journey as a booktuber, or your journey as a reader, and who you are. What inspired you to read, all those sort of things. It's just the best way to go about it. What's the weirdest book you've ever read? It's funny you're going to say that because I've come up with a video idea that I want to do quite soon. In fact, I might even do it on Sunday. I was thinking of talking about my top 10 weird horror reads of all time. And if this might not be number one, but if I was to talk about the weirdest book that I've read recently, it might be The Cipher by Chad Lutzke. And that's about this apartment building and these people. It's a mess. And the characters are a mess. They're not likable. Oh, messed up. And there's this big black hole that they discover at the end of this apartment building, sort of at the end of this corridor, in this sort of janitor's shed. I can't remember. Whatever. And there's a big black hole. And when you put things into the black hole and you pull them out, they've changed. Not for the better. And there's one woman who's kind of a sex maniac. But it's a twisted, wicked story, but it is so weird. That's all I can say about that. Okay. I'm going to bookish on movie reviews, learning bass. You play the bass. It's so cool. Going on vacations, concerts, just living life. Yeah. you can't stop living when something like that happens. You know, I know friends that have had things happen, but it's very difficult. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, and I don't want to come across, I don't know, it's very difficult to comment on things like that. It's better to try and understand than to think you know, coming from the perspective of someone that's able-bodied, right? Can't say, oh, this and this. So it'll be awesome if you do that, yeah. And there are the frogs, possibly just in time for okay. Thank you guys for the inspiration. Yeah, I love the idea and was actually thinking of doing that too. I read a lot of weird books. Yeah, let's both do it. That'd be fun. It sounds good. I like it when I find a good weird book. I've read a lot of weird books in the last 2 years. I don't think I read so many before that, before I was a booktuber, because booktube basically expanded my kind of thoughts on books and what kind of books are out there. And, you know, I used to read a lot of more older vintage horror, as most of you know, Stephen King, Clive Barker, all that. And then it's the last 2 years that have opened my mind to some really good new horror out there. You know, I released a video fairly recently about my top 10 new to me horror authors. And guess who's one of them? He might appear at 9 o'clock. So, do you want me to? Okay. Baby, come back here. Sorry, people, we're just having a little bit of a thing here. Just telling me that I started early by mistake. That's all. Okay, that sounds like a really cool book. My weirdest was probably the Brain Drips Yellow. Who's that by? I have no idea. That sounds wicked. I think other things that drip yellow, but I'm not going to go there. Okay, sorry, Cliff, I've got to scooch. Catch you in a bit, mate. Hope you can come back with Chad. It's all my fault. Sorry, guys. Okay, the frogs are getting ready for Chad. They are. No, I'm just hoping that they're going to kind of copulate and spend soon, because it's noisy, kind of off-putting. Yeah, frogs have got to have fun. That's what frogs do. This is Africa, but yeah, I'd rather not have the frogs croaking over Chad when he's talking like that. Okay. Buy Burn More. Okay. You know what I normally do after my live videos? Oh, well, right now it's just me, but that's okay. I'm going to watch it anyway. I like to kind of go through my live videos all over again. So in case I catch, you know, kind of movie references or book recommendations or whatever, then I'll write it down there. So, and it's weird. Even I've chatted to a few people sometimes for like 2.5, 3 hours, and I don't write anything down. And I'll watch the whole thing again. You think that's crazy, people? You think I need help? But then I write down little things like book recommendations and take note of it. Okay, so what we got here? Hey Cliff, happy to catch us live. Love what I've read from Chad so far. Yeah, just to fill you in, I made the time 8 o'clock, and he specified 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and that's supposed to be 9 o'clock South African time. So I made the time 8 o'clock. So I'm trying to keep everyone a little bit like kind of, you know, so till Chad comes. So it's going to be a long video for me, but that's okay. That's my fault, because I made it that time. It's okay. So, but as long as I got some liquid refreshment, it'll be okay. And Chad will see the funny side of it, I'm sure. Okay, to catch this live, yeah. So I want more comments about the lighting. Is this better? Could it still be made better? Turn up the white a bit, turn down the green. One of these contraptions I don't know. If any of you know something else we can try, turn it pink. And maybe you can look at me and I'll be pink. But tell me what you think will look better. Please, people. And yeah, please give me questions because we're nearly there. I think time is ticking slowly for me because I want to see Chad. But let me know, people. I need your help to stimulate me and keep me going. Give me questions. Ask me things. Do things. Okay. Yeah. What is the light called that you have? There's actually a box here. Oh no, it's the Amazon box. Okay. Baby? Baby? Oh wait, the box is right here. Hang on. And I'm actually going to show you. It's this LED Lightmons P Rue Morgue Godox. And it's got those flaps, right? You open and close and shut. I suppose it's, yeah. And we're still figuring it out. We actually emailed it. Sorry, no, we Googled it. And yeah, it's a lot of different light settings that you can see here. There. So it was expensive, people. It was a gift to me. And yeah, I think we just need to fiddle around a little bit to see how it works. Yeah, I hope it works. Baby? Okay. I'm going to try to look up the settings. Thank you. Yeah, it's the fanciest thing I've ever owned, but yeah, it was a gift. We couldn't afford it. But we need to work out to, like all of these things, we need to work how to actually use it. Yeah, thanks. Okay, so people, what did I miss? Big L. Tell you what you missed. I started the show early, Eastern Standard Time, 2 o'clock. That's what Chad said. I said, okay, that's 8 o'clock. No, it's not. 9 o'clock. I made my show at 8 o'clock. So I'm warming up for when he comes in on 9 o'clock, so we can have some fun. So hopefully I'll keep a few people here and you can enjoy the conversation. I'm hoping I'm entertaining enough for people that start over again, just to say to them, yeah, this is going to happen. Stay with me. Stay with me. Okay. So it's basically all my fault. My bad. I'm to blame. But welcome, Big L. How you doing, mate? And we're talking about lights. I want to know if my light is good. And I want more questions, people. Bookish questions, horror questions. Help me here. We got like less than 20 minutes to go. What's this? Yeah. Brain. I have no ill will to input. Yeah. Those who give up and say, yeah. Thank you, Matt. Yeah. And you know, I think it's the same way with for me. I mean, I have mental health issues. I really do. And I don't want to ever give up. And now that I'm living with my wife and my dog by the coast, it's quieter, it's calmer. And I've got BookTube. It's changed my life a lot. I'm a bit of a, I don't know if there's such a thing as a people phobia. I'm not a people phobia. I just struggle with groups. I struggle with crowds to the point where I can't function. So this move was necessary. This is like, you know, but I might make a video on that one day. Hang on. You got Chat. Setting your light at 45-degree angle to your sitting position. Adding a diffuser will help soften the light. Now, what is a diffuser? How much does it cost? Explain to me. I'm a technophobe. But I've got this comment for when I rewatch the whole video, and I'll ask my wife. But yeah, I did hear something about having it at a 45-degree angle. At the moment, it's kind of to the right of my screen. But I think the light's a lot better than it used to be. Correct me if I'm wrong. It will be better, even better next time. Okay. Your light is light. It's lit. Can you get filters for the lights? Yeah. I don't know about extra expense. You'll have to look into that. You can't really afford a hell of a lot more anymore. Especially seeing my wife imported a whole lot of books for me. Early Valentine's Day present, I hope. Because we can't really afford a lot more, to be honest. Not in that position. Maybe we can do something with something, hanging something over the light. You know? Maybe something like that. But guys, before he comes on, can you give me any horror-related questions, please? It's 8:45 now, so I'm hoping he comes on now. Surprise! Yeah. Okay. Tell me anything else, guys. This is what you call an awkward silence. Have you got any other horror-related stuff? Oh, here we go. And these questions you should ask him, because if you've read his books, I want you to ask him questions. I want you to be part of it. If you're still here. I've only read Stirring the Sheets, so I'm curious what inspired such a deep theme of grief and loss. What some things Chad is big on, if any. Yeah, it was a powerful book, eh? One of my favorite. Hi, Angel! Just to catch you up on what's happening. I set the time for an hour earlier than I should have. And then I said, maybe he's late. And then I realized I was early. It's supposed to be 9 o'clock, not 8 o'clock, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. 9 o'clock South African time, and I set it for 8. I screwed up then. So I'm cheering everyone up and riding, yeah, come on, before he comes on, hopefully. And then I hope I have the energy to keep talking to him after that. So you'll have to help me with that. Okay, what have we got? Anyone knows RGB ratios for night lighting? That would be great. Yeah, yes, fiddling little fiddling things. Yeah, just building tension. Come on, he's coming on, soon. That sort of thing, hopefully. What's your favorite horror subgenre? I'd have to say post-apocalyptic. And that's purely based off 2, maybe 3 books. And that's Stand, The Swan Song, and to a lesser extent, Richard Matheson. What's the one? I can't even remember the name of the book now. Last Man on Earth. Will Smith, terrible movie, but like that book. I heard. I just hope that he does pop on at 9 o'clock. I'll say sorry. It's a fusor. It's any material that scatters light. Spread the light over an RGB. Transparent shower curtain. Okay. We might just try that. And we got, what got you into horror? Yeah, and I'm going to ask him the same question. When I was very, very young, and I think he might have a similar answer to this, but way too young. Way too young. I was living in England, and they didn't have the kind of parental, like in the 70s, they didn't have the parental sort of thing. You could watch movies, late night movies, you could watch anything. And my mom and dad would go out, leave us boys together. And I watched things like Damien Omen 2. It's the first movie that gave me nightmares. And it's the scene of this woman getting her eyes pecked out by a crow and then getting run over by a truck. And that gave me nightmares for a long time. So yeah, my first thing to horror was more like kind of the films, old movies, Mating Frog. Okay, stop it. But yeah, those were my first forays into kind of horror. I liked creepy stuff as a young kid, but then I only really got it. I read more fantasy and Narnia and stuff like that. I really only got into horror properly when I read it at the age of like 12 or 13. So I remember, and that's when I really started reading, and I binged Stephen King in the 80s. So that was a big thing for me. Yeah. I used to play a few music instruments before I spoke. Yeah. Having to restrain my hands to do what I want them to do. Music is still in my head. I never played bass. Yeah. I love my music. I can't do without my music. But I've never played an instrument. I think I tried to play guitar once. I know that Chad loves his music, and he is in a number of bands. So we're going to talk to him about that as well, hopefully. Yeah. What are you reading right now? Chad Lutzke, Cannibal Creator, which I'm going to bring up. The thing is that for me, all my books by these modern authors are on my Kindle, because you can't find them here. I haven't got one physical copy of Chad Lutzke book. I'd love to get Skullface for one. Just maybe get that too. Okay. Afternoon anyway, and how you doing, man? Have you read Schrader's Court? No, I haven't, but that's on my TBR. I've heard brilliant things about that. And just to fill you in, I got the time wrong. I said live started at 8, and it was supposed to start at 9. So hopefully Chad will pop in at 9 o'clock. Let's see. Okay. Phenomenal LP Records horror. Okay. So I'm learning to play and learning to control the hand and 2 birds. Only which is the best map. That's what I can do. Get a room, frogs. Yeah. Yeah, we kind of, it's probably the wrong time to have lives during frog mating season. So every night you can hear that sound. So I'm hoping by 9 o'clock maybe they're satiated, satisfied. They little tadpoles before. Yeah. Okay. Those frogs are getting away. Yeah. That noise is disgusting. No. Welcome to Africa, dude. Welcome to Africa. It's just frogs mating. My parents closed my eyes during movies. It was so mild, but I had absolutely no clue what I was reading. So they weren't readers. Yeah. Yeah, so basically what you're saying is you were reading very heavy stuff. And yeah, parents turned a blind eye to that because they didn't know what you were reading. Yeah. I think when I was 12, 13, my parents knew what it was all about. They probably would have not let me read it either. And when I was 10, 11, 12, and I was watching those early horror films, some serious nasties. In fact, there's one that I wanted to talk to Chad about, Cannibal Holocaust, because I saw a little bit of that when I was about 11 or 12, and it scarred me. Yeah, he's got a soft spot for that movie. But yeah, let's hope we can get there. And the noise is not disgusting, it's just nature. And Layla's painting right now as well. Frog sounds like a dirty old man breathing into the phone. You see some speaking with me. Like that kind of thing. Okay. Yep, I started reading Stephen King. It didn't feel so early. I got bored of horror starting with. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly think that I never got to read R.L. Stein. It wasn't like in this country. And the whole, what was it, Fear Streets, that kind of thing. Never kind of found it in this country. So, yeah, I never got to read it. Yeah, it's pretty intense. From what I remember of it as 11, 12-year-olds, yeah, that's not gentle grief horror. That's pretty damn intense. And in fact, the director got, I think he got arrested because they suspected that the actors actually had been murdered. You see how hot it is. Layla's painting. And when it gets really hot, she stops painting. And my wife said, I went outside and scared the frogs into silence. Good job. Yeah. Laugh out loud. Yeah, we know exactly where they are. We know exactly where they sit. And there's water there. And yeah, that's where they're made. Angels laughing out loud. Okay. So people, this is going to happen. It's now 5 to 9. So I'm genuinely hoping that he pops in at about 5 to 9. And I can say surprise, we can go for an hour. That's my fault. So let's just see what happens. I really hope I can do that. Yeah. Oh, babies are cute though. What, the frogs? Getting worried about my wife here. Guys, do you have any other horror-related questions before we start? Before 9 o'clock arrives. I'm going to have to, if no one arrives on this show, I'm going to have to talk about, rename it Cliff's Conversation with Himself and His Guest. Or just Cliff's live stream. Have you got any other excellent questions for me? She's helping out here. It's a good wife. Yeah. This is not a horror novel, people. But it is a novel of the 60s. There is rape. There is sexism. There is racism. There is serious things into mental health, illness. There's electroshock therapy and worse. I'm not going to go there. You probably know what I'm talking about. And yeah, it's a brutal story. It's got some very dark themes. But at the same time, in many parts, it's kind of strangely uplifting and makes you laugh, makes you cry. It's absolutely, still thinking about it, to be honest. Because like I said, and I'm doing this, mental health has been an issue for me. And sometimes I like to feel like I have to hide away from people and society. And there's this character in the book called the Big Chief. And he's a huge half African American. And he hides, he's schizophrenic, and he hides in this like fog because it's safer just to lose himself. And he feels like this new character is like kind of shaking things up. He's causing the fog to go away, but he's scared. He doesn't want to go out of the fog and see and hear and feel because it's dangerous. He wants to rather hide within himself. And he behaves like he's deaf and dumb, but he's actually not. He's just locked within himself. And if you've seen the movie, you know the character I'm talking about. Now, what's interesting about this book is that the whole story is told from the perspective of in this Native American's head. And so you see everything because everyone ignores him like he's not there. And yeah, it's pretty powerful. It's pretty good. Yeah, I'm not sure about the triggers and stuff, but yeah, it's very good. Okay, I'm not a crowd person myself. After 5 minutes, then I just shut down. I became short fuse, plus being a wheelchair, I pretty much get my own area of content. Yeah. I'm I might do a video one day on my mental health issues. Don't know who's going to support that or watch that? But, I think I could possibly talk quite honestly about what I suffer from and my anxieties and depression. But it is a very difficult topic to talk about, isn't it? It's kind of, yeah. Which horror novel do you wish you could have read sooner? Not really a horror novel, but I wish I discovered either Swan Song or Boy's Life sooner. I love both of those so much, especially even Swan Song. Yeah, I mean, I said it. I read it in 2.5 days when we were on holiday, and it's over 1,000 pages. I just read through that. So, yeah. Okay. Have you thought about writing anymore? Yeah, I have. No. I don't know. I probably will when I get more energy. Sort some stuff in my life out. Get a bit more energy, exercise. Maybe try and add new things to my life. Yeah, I might write some more. Who's your favorite horror character? Let me think. There are quite a few characters in Swan Song I adore, but I love Josh, and he's this huge black wrestler, and before the world ends, his job is just to beat the crap out of people for entertainment. The world's gone that far before the world ends with the nuclear holocaust, and then his job is to look after Swan. He's just like a gentle giant, beautiful man. And yeah, I think that's my favorite character, to be honest. I could look at some of the characters in The Stand, but no, I think it's Josh. I love Josh. Yeah. Okay. People, I'm going to go till about 20 past 9. It's 9 o'clock now. And let's see what happens. And yeah, otherwise I'm just going to say it's one of those things. It's fine. And just bid you well. So let's go for a little while longer. You guys have some other questions for me? Because we're kind of going kind of random here, aren't we? We're just talking about random stuff. I wonder if I can send him. Okay, yeah. I'd love to watch a video on your personal troubles. You want to talk about help others with issues and how you face it. Yeah, I'll definitely do it. I mean, I'll come straight out. I'm bipolar, I'm depressed. I take a lot of pills, but to talk about what that all means is a different story. So, yeah. Most anticipated book on the current TBR. There's a couple, but I think one is here, Brom, that I've just received as a gift. That's how difficult it is when you put your back to it. But it's called Lost Gods. That's very, very exciting. And that's what I've just actually picked up. Oh, and the other one from my other video. I love this show. Anyone know this show? This is Creepshow. Anyone know this Creepshow? That's with Stephen King and George Romero. And it's kind of it pays homage to the comics of the 50s, horror comics of the 50s. And it's just beautiful. I can't wait. And it's basically a serial movie, whatever. It's got Father's Day, the lonesome death of Geordie Burrell, who's actually Stephen King. He's in a lot of this sort of stuff. It's got Craig, Something to Tide You Over with Leslie Nielsen. So you must look up the movie. This is brilliant. Creepshow. I'm looking forward to reading that. Okay, beautiful looking book. Scariest horror situation you can imagine. Have you seen The Descent? Chicks with pigs. Yeah, they go diving, not diving as in deep sea diving. They go with spelunking. That's the name of the word, spelunking, caving. And you go into a situation where everything's claustrophobic, deep down. And I like it to add in a little bit, so it's water's rising, and you get lost, and you get caught in these tight spaces. And guess who's with us, people? Guess who's with us?
Hey, Cliff.
Guess what I did, mate? Guess what I did.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly. Me? Yeah. Guess what I did? I made the video at 8 o'clock. I made it an hour earlier.
Oh, really? So people have been hanging out for
yeah. I've been warming up. That's all. Just warming. So it's so good to see you, mate.
You too.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do. Have you gone full screen here? Yeah. Do I look okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, how are you doing, man?
Not bad. I almost forgot about this. I was thinking about it all day, and then in the last hour or two, I was eating lunch, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And I had to run around and get myself.
I'm so glad you remembered. Yeah, and the first 10, 20 minutes, I was thinking, "Where's Chad?" And then I realized it's 8 o'clock, and you said 2 o'clock, and that's 9 o'clock.
Right.
So I've just been entertaining whoever's there. So I've just been talking rubbish for like an hour. But can I give you a little bit of an introduction to all the people that have stayed with me? So I'm just going to say it's an absolute honor to have you on my show. Really, you're one of my favorite new to me authors. In fact, you're on my top 20 list, heading to number 10 now.
Oh, thank you.
And you've written for famous Monsters of Filmland, Rue Morgue, Cemetery Dance, and Scream magazines. You've written numerous short stories, novels, more novellas, right? And among my favorites, obviously, I've mentioned Skullface Boys, sort of pride place for me. Mm-hmm. But there's so many of your books that I love and I treasure. And welcome, man. It's an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on here. This is awesome.
Yeah. And how are you doing? What have you been up to?
I just finished with the final draft of a novelization for a unproduced screenplay written by a Hollywood producer. When it comes out, people who normally like my stuff probably won't like it. It's nothing I would have written on my own. It's from somebody else's screenplay that it's just a writing gig, So it's I could only take so many liberties. So it's not 100% Chad Lutzke. I did what I could, and it's not the genre that I would normally write. It's like a buddy cop PG movie that felt like it came out of 1984 or something. That's not really my thing, but it was a cool experimentation thing that I've never written from a screenplay. I've written a screenplay before, but I've never written novelized a screenplay by itself with no movie because it's unproduced. So I wanted to do the challenge, I like that kind of stuff. And so I just finished that. And that's actually the only thing that I wrote last year at all. I was doing my YouTube channel with my wife, our channel Creepy Couch through the most of the year. So
and I love that. Creepy Couch is a lot of fun.
Thank you.
So why don't you tell everyone out there about that? Because my wife and I sometimes, when a series comes on, or episode comes on, and it's a movie we've seen, it's like one that you showed. I think it's my favorite out of all the ones you've done. It's not George, and Quentin Tarantino. And
Oh yeah, Planet Terror.
Planet Terror, yeah. We both love that video. We both love that movie. And we also plonk ourselves down on the couch and have a laugh. And stuff. So tell us about that. And please excuse the croaking frogs in the background. It's welcome to Africa.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, Creepy Couch is a channel that my wife and I started last, well, it's been about a year. I think the year tomorrow is the anniversary of when we launched the channel. And it's just like a silly reaction channel. It's not like your average reaction channel, because we used to do a lot more skits in there too, but I haven't had the time to do as many as we used to do. But it's the editing is a lot more complicated and different than your average, I think, reaction channel. So if you don't like reaction stuff, you might like this anyway. But we watch movies, mainly horror, but we've been, doing some sci-fi and some, dark drama type stuff and, stuff like that. It's been fun, but very, very time consuming. It takes me about between 15 to 20 hours to edit a single episode.
Wow.
Yeah, so we started the channel doing 2 episodes a week, and then when I got that writing gig for the screenplay, the novelization, then we went to 1 episode a week, and then through December, because it was my grandson's birthday, my son's birthday, Christmas, get-togethers, stuff like that, and we just put it on the back burner. So, and we have a Patreon page where we have exclusive content on there and behind the scenes stuff and things like that. So that's taken up most of my time in 2024.
Yeah. Can we take a step back in time, roll back the years? I've got a few things I want to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
You already mentioned you love movies, and I've seen in some of your other interviews and kind of written and stuff that you love horror movies. I don't go back to the earliest time where something kind of clicked the switch in your brain that horror is a genre for you. Can you think back to the earliest memories? What you're watching, it could be something if you were reading or watching or a visual or something. When did you really fall in love with horror? How young?
I was pretty young. There are certain images and days that I can remember as far back as like 3 years old, 4 years old. But I think around that time, I saw a Godzilla movie. I think it was called Godzilla versus the Smog Monster or whatever. And at the end, Godzilla, like, from what I remember, digs his like fist through this smog monster thing. I think it's got another title too, like 2 different titles. But he punches this thing and rips its eggs out and throws them and stuff. And I just thought, oh, this is so gory. And it was black and white, And this was like the early 70s. And I don't know. My biological father was really, really into horror and monsters and art and stuff. And so it felt like genetic, because I didn't really get to know him until years later, but it's almost like I was born to like all this stuff. So I can't really pinpoint a moment, but I've just always loved that. And just recently, my mother had made she did an interview of me when I was 5 and on an audio cassette. And I just recently transferred that audio cassette onto my hard drive and onto CD. And she asks me questions. She said, because she asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I said, I want to be a blood and bone doctor because I like to look at that stuff. And then I started talking about monsters. She goes, why are you always talking about monsters? And I said, I don't know. I just like it. And I was only 5 at the time. So,
5.
Yeah, I don't know. It's always kind of been there, but I don't have a real like moment where a light bulb went off or anything. It's just too early to remember anything like that.
Yeah. So I'm actually reading at the moment a Cannibal Collector.
Cannibal Creator.
Mm-hmm. Creator, sorry, yeah, that's the book I'm reading at the moment. I kind of just started it, and I can see it's sort of different to your other books, but I'm enjoying it, really enjoying it. And I saw in your foreword you said you got a soft spot. No, you didn't say that. You said he had a guilty pleasure with the cannibal movies of the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Hey, tell us about that, because I know there's one cannibal movie that I've watched. Or, well, actually, I only watched 10, 20 minutes of it when I was about 10 or 11,
Mm-hmm.
because when I was living in England, and you could watch anything. And my parents were out. So my brothers and I were in front of the telly, and you know what came on? Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh boy.
And yeah, I was about 10, 11, and I watched about 20 minutes, and it probably is the reason why I'm so messed up. I'm scarred for life. So yeah, just tell us about that.
Yeah, I just like I'm a big growing up in the 70s and 80s. I'm a huge fan of like 70s cinema, and back when movies were, they weren't doing sequels, they weren't doing remakes, they were doing every movie was like original, and its own story, and I just like the aesthetic of it. It's very nostalgic for me, the graininess and the bad dubbing, and so I'm a fan of just Italian 70s Italian giallo or cannibal or horror or whatever. And sometimes those Italian movies, they make no sense at all, but it's just visually pleasing for me.
The music and the lights and the running around screaming.
Yeah, it's like more of a aesthetic thing. And nostalgia goes a long way with me, so if it's made in the 70s, I'll probably, even if it's horrible, I'll probably love it.
Well, talking about horrible, I know that I left a comment on your creepy couch that you need to watch. Now I can't remember the name of the movie. Oh, the one of the doctor.
Yeah, the Abominable Dr. Fives.
Yeah. Have you actually seen that?
I saw it when I was a kid. Yeah, I saw it when I was like, I think like maybe 14. So it's been a while.
Yeah, it's such a huge, really. I think you'll have fun with your wife with that one.
Yeah, I think so too. I like Vincent Price too. So.
Okay, now can we say hello to a few people that have stayed on for an hour and a half because I got them on early?
Yeah.
That's commitment for you, eh? Okay, hang on. Okay, so that's my wife trying to make sure that I fill in the gaps. Okay, popping in. Hi, Chris. How you doing? Okay, do you ever find yourself staring off at nature while you're on your later walks? Okay, get to topic now, Matt. You've got our guest on. Yeah, sometimes I do. I just stare off at nature and wonder. Okay. Hey, Chad, hiding in the margins. Been here from the beginning, 2 hours ago. Here we go. Okay, hello, Chad.
Hello.
The decent messed me up. So we've been talking about horror books and movies and just all sorts of stuff, and my lighting and what I can do, and just random things to make sure we get to 9 o'clock. Okay. Matt says, hey, Chad.
Hello.
And they've also got questions for you, because some of them, I know there was a question on the, not the pale white, it might have been the pale white. No, one of my favorite by yours is Stirring the Sheets, but we're going to get there. We'll get to those questions.
Okay.
Such a powerful book. You make me cry, Chad. You make me cry. Yeah.
Thanks for watching, Anita.
That's my wife. That's my biggest fan.
Oh, thank you, Anita.
I just subscribed and I'm excited to all the videos, Chad. Roundhouse is my favorite kid.
Thank you so much.
Midnight showing, screaming fans, and everyone in the crowd was there for the same exact reason. Just a great time. I got disappointed in the most reaction videos because they don't feel like reactions. They felt like overacting and all kinds of entertaining.
Agreed.
Yeah. I just want to say that your book, Skullface Boy, was my feel-good read of 2024. beautiful book for any father to read.
Thanks so much. I appreciate that.
At least the really popular ones.
Yep.
Okay, let's get back to the thing. Let's just go into books because, I mean, to be a writer, you need to be a reader, right?
Mm-hmm.
You really do. I'm going to go back in time again and think about the first horror books that you read. I know I saw somewhere that there was a bit of a time thing before you really started to read horror.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about that.
Yeah, I didn't read my first like novel until I was maybe 24 because I just wasn't interested in reading at all. I would read magazines, stuff like that, but I was more into skateboarding and I was in several bands and stuff. So, and girls and things like that. So I was just like, had other things to do besides sit down and read, I guess. Plus my experience with reading in high school was not very, it was just very boring. The books that they would have us read, things like All Is Quiet on the Western Front or Romeo and Juliet or stuff like that, where kids my age, we can't relate to war or falling in love, at the age of like 13, 14. So, yeah, I blame my school for my lack of, love for reading. And my biological father, he would push me to read. He would try to get me to read books, and he was big into horror, like I said. And he got me. He would buy me books through the years. He'd send them to me, and just like age appropriate stuff. And then when I got to be, probably around, I don't know, my early 20s, I think I read some short stories, and then I read Clive Barker's Books of Blood. He bought me a really nice hardcover of that.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. And it was like bite-sized stuff. So my attention span could deal better with, a short story rather than something intimidating like a bigger book. And then I think maybe the very first, one of the first novels I ever read was Boy's Life by Robert R. McCammon.
I was talking about that, man. Wow.
Yeah, being a huge fan of just coming of age movies, it was nice to read a coming of age book. And and then that year I read a bunch of Stephen King. Of course, I already knew who Stephen King was because I'd seen The Shining and Creep Show and Cujo and all that stuff. So that I read a bunch of Stephen King, Dean Koontz, Edgar Allan Poe, and Clive Barker, some Richard Matheson. So
you're shitting on some of my favorites there.
Yeah, and I started to really enjoy it, reading, and then so I read quite a lot over the next few years. But and then after I read several books, I tried my hand at writing some short stories, and I wrote like 4 short stories, but I only sent one somewhere and it got rejected. But I didn't I didn't write anymore. And this is like 1994, something like that. And then I just put all of that on the, any writing. I stopped writing for 20 years. I didn't start writing again until I was 43 or 44. I think it's 44. And and then I found out I felt like I was good at it and that I could tell a decent story the way I wanted to tell it. The way that I write is very lean, so my books aren't very long and they're very like intimate settings. It's not like this wide thing where plague's taking over the world. It's like a story about one man or one boy, or
they're very human. They're very human.
Yeah.
Very heartfelt
And I'm not a big fan of description. I don't like it when I open up a book and it's like it was a windy night and the leaves were doing this and the air smelled of this and the night looked like this. I just tune out, and I'm just like, I'd rather make up my own. Just give me something else. I don't care about what this looks like. Because by default, when we, you know, if a guy walks into a room, by default, we automatically have a room in our head. And then we have to adjust that to what the writer wants us to view the room. So it kind of slows me down anyway. So I don't really do a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And some
But
people like the big meaty books and they love all that description. And I found that some people, when they read my stuff, they see something a little bit different. They're like, oh, this is different because it's it doesn't and I will also drop you in the middle of something like in the pale white that, you know, they're on their way out, you know, they're, instead of, you know, going through all of that thing. So it's that's why my books are so short. So
yeah, I mean that is probably the book that was most traumatizing to me. It's a tough read.
Yeah.
But I mean, the books that I love reading, I love coming of age. I've mentioned this in terms of, I commented on your Goodreads. I asked you a question about Skullface Boy, possibly in my top 20 books of all time. And it's not even really a horror. It's lean, like you say. I mean, some people call it YA, but there's something magical about that book. There's something so special about that particular book. And, you know, I was going to ask you, like, are there any books that you've written that are your favorites?
Skullface Boy is one of them, just because it's so different. And I like the idea of being presented with something, and it's just like, listen, I know he's got a skull face or a skull for face, just deal with it. It doesn't matter how or why or how he drinks through a straw or any of that kind of stuff. Just, this is the way it is, and just go with it. And I like movies that set that kind of, you know, stage, as well as books. And so but I think one of the reasons why I like that one so much is because I had so much fun writing like vignettes, like little short stories of the full big adventure of this, all of these people that he's running into. And I also, when I wrote it, I literally mapped out the route using Google Traffic View, and some of the vignettes that I wrote were based on real images that I saw during the mapping out of stuff. So I'd see like a trailer park or something, and I'd see, you know, and then I would come up with this: is he a werewolf? Is he not a werewolf? You know, thing with the, you know, with the trailers with the tomato stuff all over it. Or I'd see another image and I'd come up with another idea. And so I mapped this thing out on Traffic View, and I could have written Skullface Boy, you know, 150,000 more words. I was just having so much fun, but I stopped it because I didn't want to overstay my welcome. I wanted to leave people wishing it were a little bit longer, rather than, you know, okay, it's time to finish the book.
It's beautiful. And I love the dedication you gave. And I actually wrote it down. Unfortunately, I don't have physical copies, but I wrote it down. Dedicated to the bullied, the parentless, and the unique. May the shallow arseholes one day envy you. Love that. Because, I mean, it's a book about alienation and it's a book about being different, right? It's a very personal thing. Excuse the frogs.
Yes. And my other favorite one is probably The Same Deep Water as You, because it's like 90% autobiographical, but written in a fictional manner. And every book that has to do with that character Jex is autobiographical. I took liberties and dramatized some stuff that didn't really happen, but for the most part, those were fun to write because so much of that stuff really happened to me. So, but they're also some of my least popular ones because they're just slice of life coming of age. Like, there's no real plot. It's like, you've got this guy that's like trying to figure it out. You know, it's kind of like Catcher in the Rye, even though I don't like Catcher in the Rye, but it's like that. It's just like the slice of life. This teenager's kind of figuring out, and you're watching him as he gets a little bit more mature, gets to be a little bit better of a person, less womanizing, less drunk, less stoned in going into a sober lifestyle and stuff like that. I'm not done with those, but I've written 3 of them, and I wrote them backwards on accident because I was only going to write one, and then I'll write. Well, I'll write. I thought I'll write another one that takes place before Same Deep Water as You, and then after that came out, I was like, well, I'll write one that comes before that one, and so they were published backward. But those, Same Deep Water and Skullface Boy are my personal favorites. And
so what was the first one you mentioned? Because I haven't read that yet.
The Same Deep Water as You, but that's the 3rd in the series. So if you're going to read all 3 of them, Broad Street Bastard is the first one, and then Slow Burn on Riverside, and then The Same Deep Water.
I don't even have to write that down because I do a very strange thing after my lives, Jan. You might not believe what I do, but I watch the whole damn thing all over again so that I pick up if people have given me reviews or giving me book recommendations or horror recommendations. I just watch the whole thing again with a pen and paper, so I think I'll read those in the next few months. Thanks.
Awesome.
Okay, now this is a question that I'm sure you asked. I think authors probably get sick and tired of this. The writing process, where you get your ideas, that kind of thing. But I want to just think about it this way. I mean, I think I hear from Stephen King on writing, where he talks about walking around his everyday life and he sees a dog or he sees the St. Bernard or whatever, and then you've got Cujo. I think I read that on writing. And then there are people that take their ideas from within. Maybe you sit at the typewriter and things just come to you, or from your past experiences, from past memories. Where do you think you fit in that? Do you write stuff down and then come to it later and say, that could make a really good story, a really good idea? Or do you sit down and
sometimes. The only thing I don't really do is I don't plan any of it. I don't plot it out and do an outline. I pants everything, but it normally starts with some kind of idea. With Skullface Boy, a friend of mine and I had stories coming out in an anthology, and we saw the cover of the anthology, and we did not like the cover. And we were like, how do we tell the publisher that this cover sucks? I was like, maybe I should make a cover for it and offer them. And so I made a cover for it, like a mock-up. And we went to him and said, hey, this cover, I don't think it's going to sell copies for you. What do you think about maybe doing another cover? And they said, well, I don't want to do that. I want to use this cover. And I was like, okay. So I never even showed him the cover that I made. And the cover I made was essentially the cover of Skullface Boy, except for it didn't have any of the orange. It didn't have the California background. It didn't have the brick wall, and it was just the skull face person, and it was these different purples and blacks, or purples and blues, like dark blue. And it was on my iPad, and I was looking at or I was finishing up writing Stirring the Sheets, and I saw the image of this mock-up that I did that had the authors inside, their names on the front, and it had the title of the anthology. And I thought, man, I really like this cover. I'm going to use this cover for something. And then I was just staring at it one day, and I was nearing the end of Stirring the Sheets, and I thought, I'm just going to write a book called Skullface Boy, because that is what's on the cover. Don't know what it's about, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use that as a cover. So that's what prompted that idea. And then, of course, that went to a whole other thing. So sometimes it could be a life experience. It could be a fear, like Stirring the Sheets, very much, a big fear of mine. I've been with my wife for, 33 years. So So, and then a lot of times I will just get ideas just from kind of staring off into space. Sometimes I will write The Pale White, I think, was originally from an idea about 3 young girls who were trapped in a house for 7 years and had children and stuff.
Oh, wow. So based on a real story.
Vaguely, yeah. I mean, just loosely based on a true story. And they, thank God, they made it out of there. But I think they were in there for like 7 years. And I thought, man, what they must go through nowadays. And each person, because we process trauma differently. If a girl goes through sexual trauma, for example, uh, some of them become promiscuous. Some of them do the opposite. Um, and some of them, it comes out in different ways, and the trauma, their trauma response comes out individually. So I wanted to write a book about that traumatic response that comes out in three different ways. One in the form of a mute, one in the form of a girl who thinks she might be a vampire because she never sees the daylight anyway, and she looks unhealthy, and she has a fascination with all things goth. And then one girl who's a little bit more level-headed and just is trying to get out of there and be like the hero mother of them all. And so the book was just more about the aftermath and what would happen rather than what happened in there. So
that's what I appreciated about that book, is that you didn't have to kind of focus in on the details and all the sexual details and what was going on in the house. You kind of dealt with a potentially very sensitive subject. Well, it is a sensitive subject, but you dealt it in it. I don't know what's the right way to say this. You dealt with it in such a way that you focused on the girls and on the trauma that then their journey, as opposed to what they've been.
Yeah, I just didn't see the sense in like explain everything that happened.
No, exactly.
I mean, I left little clues and stuff, so but I mean, I'm not that kind of author. Same with Stirring the Sheets. If somebody picks it up, they're going to think, oh, this guy's going to screw this corpse. No, that's not what's going to happen.
But that's what I'm trying to say. In all the books I've read by you, it's just, you talk horror with heart, emotional horror, and you don't have to get gratuitous. You don't have to get nasty. I mean, I don't even, like I say, I don't even kind of label all your work as horror. It's like dark fiction, coming of age, which I like, Boy's Life, Stephen King's It. So many books that I love that are coming of age. The Body, Stand By Me. Now tell me, if you actually, before I do that, can we answer this question? What is your proudest moment pertaining to your writing journey? Getting published, or first short story, or?
I mean, it changes. Like that first short story that I had published was just like, oh my gosh, and then getting an article published in Famous Monsters a couple times. It was like, I grew up on that magazine. My dad grew up on that magazine, and to get paid a couple $100 to write an article and have my name in there, that was a highlight. But those were like very, very early on. But then, getting blurbs, I've gotten a few blurbs from Joe Lansdale. I've seen him on podcasts say very nice things about me. Jack Ketchum has said nice things. Richard Chismar, Stephen Graham Jones. So those things were, or being approached by other countries, Russia and Czechoslovakia and, Spain to Germany to reach out to me and want to, put these editions in other languages out. My co-author for Wormwood and I were asked to write a screenplay for Josh Mallerman's production company, and we worked with him on a screenplay to try to get a movie made. That was a fun experience. These things usually don't happen. As far as like even when a screenplay is done and you've got a team involved and a director and all that, it doesn't mean anything. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. But it was a fun experience. That was maybe one of the highlights. Thinking that it might, but I don't know. Just having just this giant shelf of stuff that I can leave behind for my kids, is I only really wanted to have one story published And now I have, I don't know, over 3 dozen probably, and then 20 some books. So to leave behind, and that feels good. I don't know that there's any one proud moment, but those are some highlights that I just mentioned.
Yeah, and I have to admit, I've got a long way to go. I've got to keep reading, 1 a month. A little bit like with Stephen King. I'm trying to get through everything he's read. I'm on about 62 or 63 now.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 1 a month. So I'm going to go Chad Lutzke 1 a month, Stephen King 1 a month. Just keep going. But I have to say that you mentioned Joel Lansdale, and I read one particular book by you that I've got it written down here. I can't think of it at the top of my head. How the Skin Sheds.
Mm-hmm.
Reminded me a lot of Joel Lansdale. You've got a style, and it's like you've got your own unique style. The kind of camaraderie between this guy. He discovers his sister has been brutally murdered, or aunt, can't remember.
Yeah,
Nipple's missing.
Yep.
And the niece on dead, traumatized, and on this kind of a bounty hunt sort of thing with the freed slave, and the three of them go after this murderer. That's the one, right?
Yep, that's the one.
It just sounds so Joel Lansdale. I love it.
Oh yeah,
Loved it. Gave it 5 stars. It was like it was like this kind of road trip buddy movie, and it was splatter western, so you can get pretty heavy when you want to.
Yes,
but it still had a heart. It still had like a beating heart, even if it was bloody and bruised, and it still felt like a very, very twisted buddy movie sort of thing, buddy road trip sort of.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, and that was all on purpose. Yeah, I'm a big Joe Lansdale fan, and I dedicated the book to him, and he loved it.
So I was close there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's just look at a couple more things here. Because I've got a couple of things here. I haven't read your books yet. So I'm planning to get to it this year. And I do know from feedback that you like coming of age. Which book do you recommend I read first? That's
probably, I think the best gateway, I think, would probably be Of Foster Homes and Flies. It's my most popular, and if you like coming of age, it's got a pretty unique premise, and it's easily digestible, and again, it's arguably horror or horror adjacent, whatever. I mean, if you consider something like Boy's Life or The Body horror, then I guess you could consider this horror too. But to me, it's just like unfortunate dark fiction, I guess. But yeah, probably that one, Of Foster Homes and Flies.
Your books make me cry all the time. I never thought I'd cry. I never thought I'd cry at spelling bees. But yeah. And Skullface Boy, I wept with tears of joy and all sorts of stuff.
I honestly, I cried too, because I was outside in the middle of the night, kind of staring at the sky, trying to come up with an ending. And I was only halfway through the book. And I was like, well, where's this headed? What is actually going to happen? And in my head, I wrote the last paragraph.
Don't give the endings, but to be honest with you, I love your endings. Because you never get the sense, even if I'm not going to go into what happens. It's not always perfect people, but you do get the sense of something. You leave satisfied. No matter what happens, you leave. He leaves you satisfied. It doesn't necessarily always have to be a good ending. And I'm thinking of one book in particular. Mm-hmm. Remember the Meteor? I'm not going to talk about it.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't have to be always a good ending, but it's satisfying ending. So,
I usually have some sense of hope.
I'm so sorry for the frogs. I'm so sorry.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
It's nature.
I usually try to have a little sense of hope, but there are a handful of books that I wrote that a very small handful that they're just bleak. There's zero hope.
Okay. Well, I'm reading Cannibal Holocaust. I don't know where this is going, but hey, we'll see. I mean, you get like someone like Stephen King. You really get into a character. Oh, I love this character, and then he dies.
Yeah.
It's like you're not really like that, but you might be. Maybe I haven't read enough.
Maybe.
Would you compare your writing to the opening scene of 28 Weeks Later? Just a single family, one house, surviving plague. If not, it might not be the most drawn out setting, but insanely effective. You were talking about settings earlier.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about like more intimate settings, then yeah, if I were to write like a post-apocalyptic thing, it would most likely be just a very small cast and not deal with things like on a global scale and bounce between stuff. I'd like to tell one person's story or one small group of people's story in relation to whatever is going on.
Yeah. Okay. This is a difficult one. Well, it's not really difficult, but what is a book that you have written? Okay, it might be one that I have not read, but that's fine. But what is a book that you've written that caused you the most pain in the writing? That was the most difficult to get on paper? I know you write a lot of very personal books, and this thing about enjoying writing, but sometimes writing in order to get it out. Is there a book that you've written that you really struggled to get it out, and it caused you a bit of pain and anguish?
Yeah, Steering the Sheets for sure, just because it dealt with hits real close to home. I don't think that I would build basically a shrine in my home to my wife, but I can see me having some of the same struggles where I wouldn't want to change things from the way they were, I just feels like never sleeping in the bed again feels like something that I could see somebody really doing, for a while anyway, and so as they try to get through their grief. But yeah, that was tough, and Wallflower was tough too, just because it's such a depressing book, and the research that I had to do for that, I watched a lot of videos on heroin addicts shooting up and nodding off, overdosing and things like that, and I visited some message boards where people were talking about different methods and stuff, and it was the message board that I went to in particular was it really glorified the use of heroin, and they were talking about what's the best tinfoil to use. Make sure you use Reynolds wrap because it doesn't have this on it, so it's better for your lungs when you're like, if you're going to smoke the heroin. And I'm like, are you guys listening to yourself? What difference does it make what kind of tinfoil you use? You're smoking heroin. What yeah. And now all of a sudden you're health conscious. It was very sad to see these people. A lot of them were functional heroin addicts who had good jobs, and they would spend their money on heroin. So that was bleak and depressing, but but maybe not as much as Stirring the Sheets. So those two for sure. Yeah, I couldn't wait to get done with Stirring the Sheets.
Yeah, I haven't actually read Wallflower. So you actually went out and you do your research properly for every book?
No, not really. I mean, I think the only two books that I really actually had to do research for was I've never done heroin. I am a recovering addict, but I not from heroin or anything like that, and I haven't touched anything since I was since 1980, late 1988. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, being in a recovery program and being up, Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, and being a part of that for so many years, I knew how the mindset of lies that you tell yourself, especially if you're going to relapse or if you're going to try a drug for the first time or something, and just the cycle that your mind, how you can fool yourself. But as far as like the experience of heroin, I had to do a lot of research on that, just reading stuff and, like I said, watching the movies. And then Stirring the Sheets, I also had to do research because there's a lot of technical stuff with embalming and just the way a business is the way a business is run, a funeral home business. And so I found some awesome women to help me who are funeral directors and morticians to help me with any questions that I might have. And they really they helped me out a lot with that one. But no, not a whole lot of research for really anything else. I don't think, except for maybe like a location or something. Like Fosterums and Flies, wanting to know if New Orleans has a specific smell. Something like that, and then kind of incorporating that. But I think those are but yeah, I think those are the only two books that I actually did any kind of research on.
No, I haven't read Wallflower. I think it's gonna make that a priority as well. Yeah. I actually wanted to ask you. I know you talked about this year. You haven't really been working on a book, but you've had other plans. You've had this exciting thing you're working on. Do you have any future plans for this year or the next year in terms of a new novel, novella? Maybe some more short stories?
Well, the last year was supposed to be dedicated to writing screenplays, and I was not going to write anymore because I had 2 books come out at the beginning of last year, and the Bedmakers that I wrote with John Bowden, and then Bruises on a Butterfly. So because I had those coming out last year, I thought, well, I will take the year off writing, and I will write screenplays. But then just before the year started, I got the idea for Creepy Couch, and I decided to dedicate the year to that. And then come around, I think it was May, I decided that I think maybe I'm done writing. And so other than the obligation that I had to write the novelization that I talked about earlier, I have not written anything. But I know that I was invited to an anthology, and I've submitted my story for that. That's supposed to come out this year sometime. And then a publisher wanted to do a limited edition chapbook with an exclusive, like a unpublished short story or novelette or whatever. So that will be coming out, I think, I don't know, in the summer or late summer. But other than that, I've got a couple books that are written, but I don't know that they'll ever see the light of day. I can't even tell you how many books I have half written.
They will.
14, probably have 14 different books half written or in various stages of being written. And then I have 2 books that are written that have been done for a couple of years, but as of now, I don't have any plans to seek publishing them at all. So I don't know if you're ever gonna. I don't know. I don't know what my plans are. I'm used to writing 2 to 3 books a year, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I'm going to be writing anymore.
I'll just take it easy on yourself. Might come back. You never know.
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe.
At least I know that I've got a lot of your books to catch up on, so I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
Tell me, are there any new authors that I should be checking out? I know that I read, and I haven't written down his name. I read Wormwood.
Okay. With Tim Meyer.
Yeah, Frozen. They're right. Wormwood.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Tim Meyer. Yeah, he still writes. And he's got a lot of stuff. He's very prolific, and I don't really keep track these days of newer authors. When I do read lately, it's been older stuff. Like I'm reading a William Goldman book right now, and that he wrote in like the early 80s. But John Bowden, even though he's a very close dear friend of mine, he's just a phenomenally underrated author, and I've learned a lot from him. We've written a couple books together, Out Behind the Barn and The Bedmakers. And if you like me, then you will probably like him. He writes very heartfelt, very sad stuff as well, with a hint of horror or dark fiction. Yeah. And but his prose is a little bit different. It's a little bit more, it's not flowery, but it's a little bit more poetic than what I write. But we have but we're still very similar. So when we do collaborate together, it's very easy to, we don't, by the time we're done, we don't know who wrote what. So
yeah. That's, I just want to figure out, as a booktuber, I want to start supporting more indie authors, self-published authors, even reading arcs. I haven't really got around to doing that because I get emails all the time from people, read this.
Yeah.
I can't really get copies in my country. They can send me, kind of downloaded stuff. But I want to have ideas of people that should be pursuing and supporting.
Yeah.
So that's I actually want to do that. I mean, it's one thing for supporting other booktubers, but I want to read more authors that I can discover another Chad Lutzke.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I wish my finger were on the pulse more. I don't really, I always read John stuff. Bob Ford, I guess he's another one that I like. And Hunter Shea, actually.
Yeah.
Hunter Shea writes mostly like cryptid type stuff, but not always.
Oh yeah, I've read one. About this wolf guy or this goat man, Hunter Shea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I read that. Entertaining, yeah.
Yeah, is it To the Devil a Cryptid? Is that what?
To the Devil a Cryptid. That's
I'm actually a character in that.
Are you?
And I last a while before I die. So yeah, Hunter is a dear friend of mine. I do a podcast with him every Tuesday night. Live with him and a couple
because I got recommended that book by Jason White.
Okay.
Jason Weird Reads, because he's
Hunter is a good writer, and some of his stuff is kind of schlocky like that, or kind of like, but like he's got some other stuff that's a little bit like more serious. That's kind of just like a fun, page turner. But his books, Creature, that's a great book. Slasher is another one. And then who else is there? I was just thinking of somebody else that I like. I really like. There's an author named Autumn Christian that is one of the best writers that I think that we have. And she is, she just, when I read her, I'm just like, I'll never be this good. Of course, we have different styles, but it's just like her prose is so phenomenal. And I haven't read much of her stuff, but she's one that's just I read a short story collection of hers called, I can't remember the name of it. But she's so good. And she doesn't write enough. And I wish she did.
I'm going to write these names down at the end. And if there are any others, just send me a mail. Just drop a couple of names if you can think of. Because I want to discover new authors. I want to, it's one thing about reading Stephen King after Stephen King, Clive Barker, but it's good to discover some new.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, my wife says, would you like to have your books made into movies? And if so, which ones?
I mean, I would love to see any of them, but I think that Foster Homes and Flies would make a really, really cool, like A24 indie movie. And I have toyed with the idea of writing that was one of the screenplays I was going to write last year, and I might do it this year. We'll see, and see if I can, get something done with it. I have already pitched it to a movie producer. He read the book, liked it, but thought it needed, for a movie, it needed something else. And I have an idea. So
Skullface Boy, directed by David Lynch.
Yeah, well, we can't have that happen anymore, can we? But
no.
Yeah, that would have been
someone like him. You know what I mean? It's a bit of effect stuff going on, and
I think Skullface Boy would be cool if it was done like rotoscope, like A Scanner Darkly. Have you ever seen A Scanner Darkly?
Oh yeah.
I think Skullface Boy would be cool like that.
Yeah. No, so many of them. In fact, this one of the Skin Sheds, that could be a R18, whatever. I don't know what it is these days. Okay. What is best era decade for horror? 70s, 80s.
Matt is exactly right. See, he knows.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Why is it the 70s and 80s?
Yeah, it is.
Originality, really. I mean,
Paperbacks from hell, best covers, best ideas.
Well,
no
yeah,
rules.
it was less of a business and more of art. You know, I mean, if you think about some of the stuff that, and they weren't afraid to do things in the 70s. I just watched Kingdom of the Spiders, which is I don't know if it was made for TV. I think it was. Was it William Shatner When Animals Attack type movie from the 70s about killer tarantulas? And they, there's thousands of tarantulas in these scenes, and they're being killed. They're being run over by cars. They're being stepped on by people. They're being flung across the room. There's no fake spiders. And I'm not saying we should go out and kill spiders. I'm just saying that in the 70s, that they weren't afraid to do some things like that, and they just did them to make movies, and the ideas were much more original, and they were not worried about, how can we cash in on this sequel, how can we cash in by this remake, because since it was so popular, they turned original screenplays into movies, and some were outlandish, and that's why the 70s and 80s are so great.
J.R. Corral saying hello. Hey, fellas. He's a great author as well. I've read his first book. I'll be procrastinating. I need to read his second book as well. I've got a sequel, something about vampires. Tell us, J.R. Okay, I read somewhere that a lot of people have at least one novel in their heads, but very few have more than one. Never give up when you are one of the few. She's talking directly to me. Because you know that I've started writing a short story so many times. I get like to chapter 1 and I'm like, pen down and pick up a book. I just get stuck.
Yeah.
I've got the story stuck in my head, and then I just get stuck.
But Cliff, that first draft doesn't have to be the final draft. You just get the words out. Get the words out, and then it could be something totally different. When I was writing The Pale White, I had it in... I can't remember. I had it in past tense, and it was about 3 vampire girls. And then I changed the whole thing, and I turned it into something completely different. I did the same thing with the foster homes and flies. I mean, I just changed the tense and changed some things, but you just get it out first, and then you look at the things that you're able to see, better at what you, especially if you don't look at it for a couple of months. And you come back to it and you're like, oh, well, this is a horrible idea. And this needs to, but at least you're getting it out, And just remember that just because you're writing the words down, they're not meant to stay. They're meant to be rewritten.
Yeah. So you don't think 54 is a bit old to start writing?
What's that?
You don't think 54 is a bit old to carry on writing?
No, I'm 54 right now, and if I mean, no, not at all. I started at 44, so why not 54? Okay,
I'm more than anything else. I'm going to start now because you said so.
Yeah, there are a handful of authors I've heard of that started later than 54, just because maybe they had their jobs that were, and then finally when they retired from their jobs, then they had the time to do it, or they were inspired and finally was just like, screw it, I'm going to write this one book for me and my kids. When I die, they'll have it. And then it turns into something bigger. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm overthinking it, because I get to the end of this chapter or this idea, and then entering a transition zone, and then it gets super weird, and I don't know how to start. So I got an idea, but it's like, damn, those frogs are irritating me. Okay, I love that era because horror really started to come to the forefront of artistic expression. Yeah, music especially. Yeah, I actually want to ask you about music just now, because I know what you love, but I know that you love different kinds of music as well.
Mm-hmm.
But like early 80s for me, yeah. Okay. But like music, oh, Leila, what's up? Tell me about your music. I know that you're passionate about that. That's another one of you've been in bands, play guitar. I had that guitar behind you.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of my first love, music. And I have not been in a band in a long time. I am in a band right now that's like, we're recording an EP remotely, and
Okay.
I'm writing all of the music, but I have other musicians coming in to make kind of like guest appearances so that I don't have to do it all, because I'd rather not do that. And yeah, so every once in a while I'll write a song, on GarageBand, and then record it, put it up on the internet. But I haven't really. That hasn't been part of my. Yeah, like I said, I haven't been in a band in many years, other than this thing that I'm doing right now, and it's. I'm hoping that this year I will have something to be able to produce. But yeah, I am very diverse as far as like what I love to listen to. I'm a huge punk rock fan,
Yeah,
hardcore
man.
punk and
Yeah.
crossover. I love thrash metal, but I probably listen to more Sade and more like new agey type stuff, like Patrick O'Hearn, than anything else.
There's nothing wrong with it.
I'm not young and angry like I used to be, so putting Minor Threat on doesn't have the same effect that it used to. It's just loud now, and sometimes obnoxious, where I'd rather kind of like put on some smooth jazz or something sometimes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I like a lot of stuff. I'm not into like hip hop or country though. Yeah, but I do love some easy listening yacht rock, as they call it, and classic rock and metal and
Yeah.
punk and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not ashamed to say. I mean, I used to love my Slayer and Megadeth and Sepultura, Roots, and all that kind of thing when I was younger. But now, heavy as I get is probably Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Black Sabbath. I still love.
Oh,
And I'm
yeah,
not
Black
ashamed.
Sabbath, one of my favorites. The Cure
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Black Sabbath are probably my two favorite
Oh,
bands of all
Cure.
time.
Oh, my wife loves the Cure as well. But I'm not ashamed to say I love a little bit of Elton John. I'm
Oh,
not going to
yeah,
ashamed to say that.
sure.
Elton John, Leonard Cohen, all this. Yeah, I've got such a diverse taste. I think as you get older, you appreciate that you can be diverse and not be ashamed of it. Not like
I love stuff nowadays that I hated when I was a kid. When I was a kid, it just needed to be fast. Even punk bands like the Ramones were just slow for me, and I wanted faster stuff and more aggressive, more offensive. And I didn't like saxophone, didn't like jazz, and then that's, which is ironic considering that's what I like. Well, I mean, I didn't like reading either, and then I turned out to be an author. So
and then suddenly you just took it all in the ages 24 when you started reading. You must have just like binged everything.
Yeah, I did. I read a lot.
Yeah. It's beautiful, man. Well, should we just see what final little things on here? Because you might have been on here now for over an hour. Been on for. Oh wait, no, we got more here. Early 80s and movies. What's that for?
I think before, when he said music and music especially, I think he said music and movies especially.
Yeah. Especially Megadeth. Joke. Yeah. Oh man, I was a metalhead of note. And I wasn't really into punk rock so much. I did a thing in the 90s where I'd listen to bands like, it's not punk at all, but like kind of Red Hot Chili Peppers. I love that kind of stuff. But I can never say I was in maybe like old school, The Clash, Sex Pistols.
Okay.
But never into kind of modern. Yeah.
Right.
And they're the frogs singing and. Okay, Jack Roll singing the flyer. What are your favorites from the 80s, Jack?
Probably. Well, how about The Shining right over there? The Shining for sure.
Yeah.
The Thing and The Fly remake.
Yeah.
You can't get much better than that, can you? There's a lot of stuff in the 80s, a lot of low budget stuff that that I like too. Just silly slasher stuff. Again, nostalgia. You know, if it's grainy and dumb, and it's from the 70s or 80s, I will probably enjoy it.
I've got a soft spot for Freddy Krueger. A big soft spot.
Yeah.
Get into your dream, kill you when you're sleeping.
I'm not a big Freddy Krueger fan. I think it's because there's like he jokes around too much and he talks. I like Michael and Jason. You know, they don't say a word; they just kill you.
They just kill you. They just kill. Yeah.
But yeah, Evil Dead obviously is you know very yeah. I'm friends with the guy who did all the. He lives nearby. He did all the effects for Evil Dead.
Oh wow!
And yeah, as a matter of fact, was it last year, the year before, when Evil Dead Rise came out? He hadn't seen it, and so he came over and we watched it at my house, and that was cool to watch the new Evil Dead with him.
Where are you from, Chad?
I live in Battle Creek, Michigan.
So that's far away from LA with fires and stuff. So you're safe.
Oh gosh, yes, that's on the other side of the country. Yeah.
No, because I've got a mate on BookTube who is does film to movie adaptations. So he works in the movie industry. He's got a channel as well, and he had to evacuate his home. Luckily,
that's horrible.
Yeah, I can't believe what's going on there.
Yeah, me neither. That's sad.
Those frogs sound demonic. Yeah, they are.
They do.
Bloody piss me off. Jason is cooler. Freddy is scarier. I like Freddy because it's so creative. The kills and the whole dream sequence and stuff.
Yeah.
But I agree with you that I'm not a huge fan of slashers, to be honest. I don't know why. It's just it's not my favorite genre of film.
I can understand that. They're very predictable. You know, it's kind of like same old. But I for some reason I do love them, probably just because like the first rated R movie that I was ever allowed to watch was a slasher. And it was like the first breasts I'd seen on TV, the first like gore I'd seen on TV, actual gore. And so it was like, wow, what is this? And so, yeah.
And if you're like 12, 13, that's like gold.
Yeah.
Another Midwest author.
Yep. Yeah, I live in the same state as, Josh Mallerman and Mark Matthews, and there's several of us.
I'm South African, so I don't know.
Yeah, the publisher, one of my publishers is in South Africa, the Crystal Lake Publishing, who published The Pale White.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I love slashes. I remember seeing The Burning when I was 15 or so. It's awesome.
The Burning, yeah. It's a good one. It's got George Costanza in it.
No, man. What's going on? Hang on. Oh, no. Ohio.
Ohio.
Yeah. Hollywood is obsessed with remakes. Yeah. The difference between remakes today and old school remakes. The 80s remakes had a lot more originality in the same story.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, if they look, I mean, The Fly and The Thing are perfect examples of two remakes that are nothing like the originals at all.
Yeah. Interesting that you mentioned Sade.
Pardon me.
No issue. I listened to Smooth Operator 2 days ago, and it's a stunning song. Did you ever see The Lost Boys? The song I Still Believe by Tim Capello is great.
What is it? Yeah, I've seen The Lost Boys.
Oh, is that band? I Still Believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, The Lost Boys is one of our guilty pleasures.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. It's not my favorite vampire movie, but I understand why people like it.
Yeah. Hey, Matt, let's just see if there's anything else here that I actually really wanted to ask you, because I'm sure I skipped something. Yeah. Man, yeah, I just wanted to say I think we covered everything I wanted to ask you. I just wanted to say it's an absolute honor having you on my channel. And
Yeah,
I
appreciate
thank
having me.
you. I thank you for being there. And yeah, I'm going to continue reading your books. I
Thank
don't
you.
give up writing. Reconsider it. Because at the age of 56 or 57, I might have run out of Chad Lutzke, and then what am I going to do? I'd have to reread it, books again. You know? But
Yep.
thank you so much.
Thank you. And thanks for everybody hanging out and asking questions and stuff. That's awesome. And to those who subscribe to Creepy Couch or who read my stuff for the first time or for the 10th time, thank you. Appreciate that very much.
Yeah, it's hang on, let me just check what's happening here. Yeah, it's a show that is very, very well worth. Yeah. My wife is reminding me that I got more comments here. Hang on. Okay. There's a horror convention in England, and each year for the after party they get to Capello to perform.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Matt, have you seen The Sadness?
Yeah, isn't that the Asian zombie movie? Yeah, I did see that like the last year or the year before.
Yeah, got to
I've
catch
seen
up
that.
on the movie then. Yeah. If not, I'm suggesting for the reaction. Reaction. I'll definitely be checking out your books.
Thank you, spooky little book nerd. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
she's awesome. Check out her channel. She's coming on my channels. Yeah. So, guys, yeah, we're going to say again, thank you so much. I've been on an hour longer than you on my own, but that's okay. It's my fault. But it's always fun to talk to everyone out there. And once again, yeah, it's been an honor. It's great hearing you talk. And let the frogs take us out.
All right.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Everybody.
Go, yeah. Right. Okay, everyone. So, yeah, I'm going to somehow go. What's this here? I have a feeling it up. Oh, here we go. Okay. Thanks, everyone, for those of you that have stayed for the full 2.5 hours or whatever it is. Thank you. I appreciate you. I love you. But for now, cheery bye. Okay, for some reason this is not working. Oh, yeah, that